Saturday, January 8th, 2022. The sky over South Los Angeles was clear, the air unusually still. Just after 8 a.m., a call came into California Highway Patrol. A driver heading south on the 110 freeway near the Manchester Avenue on-ramp had seen someone, lying on the side of the road. At first glance, it could have been anything, a discarded tarp, maybe a large bag. But the caller stayed on the line and confirmed what others missed. It was a person, young, alone, unmoving. When officers arrived at the scene, traffic continued to rush past. Headlights flickered, engines hummed. But on the shoulder of the on-ramp, just feet from the asphalt, they found her. A black teenage girl, face up, lifeless, 2 gunshot wounds to her neck. There were no tire marks, no wallet, no purse, no cell phone. Just a girl left out in the open as if she meant nothing. Investigators secured the scene. They didn't know who she was. No missing persons report matched her. No school had called. No parent had filed anything, yet. To the world, she had no name. But she had one, and someone, somewhere, knew her. Someone had loved her, and someone had left her here. By mid-afternoon, her identity was confirmed through fingerprints. Her name was lled. She was 16 years old, a student, a daughter, a child. That same evening, her father, Darian, spoke briefly to reporters. He looked down when he talked, voice low, barely audible. He said she had come to visit him the night before, Friday, January 7th.
That was my baby girl.
Darian Jackson.
She just left. So I picked her up, she was crying, I kissed her, gave her a hug. I didn't know it was gonna be the last kiss.
She stopped by his job in Inglewood, told him she was heading to a party with a friend. He said he didn't know the friend, said she had met them through Instagram. He remembered telling her to be safe, that he had a bad feeling, said he hugged her, told her he loved her. She said she'd be back later. She didn't come home. By the next morning, she was gone. There were no known witnesses. No traffic cameras captured the moment her body was left. Investigators said it was as if she had been dropped there, discarded under daylight. And for days, there was barely a whisper in the news. No press conferences, no breaking coverage, just silence. But this wasn't a runaway. This wasn't someone looking for trouble. This was a teenage girl, shot and left for dead. No one should disappear like that. No one should be found like that. If you believe black girls deserve justice, don't scroll past. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. We won't let her be forgotten. lled was born on July 18, 2005, in Los Angeles, California. She was Teresa's only daughter, and Teresa didn't take that lightly. From the very beginning, Teresa did everything she could to protect her little girl from the violence that hovered too close to their neighborhood in Compton. Inside their home, it was different. Teresa created routines, comfort, and structure. lled thrived in it. From a young age, lled loved to move. She danced, took lessons, joined programs, and stuck with them. But it was golf that she truly found a rhythm in. She enrolled in a youth golf program whose alumni had gone on to Ivy League universities. Her family said she was laser-focused and already making honor roll. Photos from that time show a girl always smiling, dressed neatly, always holding something, an award, a certificate, a golf club. She wasn't just talented. She was disciplined, kind, and full of potential. Those early years were filled with hope. Teresa was active in lled's life, driving her to events, cheering her on from the sidelines. Her weekends were spent on the green, with Teresa behind the ropes, calling out her name every time she lined up a shot. The sun would be high, casting shadows across the course, but she stood still, steady hands, calm eyes. She was just a child, but she already carried herself with purpose. But even then, trouble was never far. When she was just 7, one of her older brothers was sent to prison. And when she turned 11, tragedy hit again. Her brother Darian Jr. was shot and killed. He was 19. That kind of loss isn't just emotional, it shifts a child's entire sense of safety. That same year, Teresa noticed changes. lled kept to herself more. But she still went to school, still danced, still played golf. By early 2019, lled was 13. Teresa had gone to an event that day, and lled needed the house keys. So she and her cousin drove over to meet her. What they saw as they pulled up would change the direction of lled's life forever. There was a body in the street, blood on the pavement. At first, her cousin tried to shield her, told her it wasn't what she thought. But Tioni stared ahead and said, "That's my mother." She recognized her purse. She knew the shoes. Teresa had been the victim of a hit and run. She survived, but her injuries were devastating. Doctors said she had suffered a traumatic brain injury. She slipped into a coma and never fully recovered. She was eventually moved to a long-term care facility where she remains today. Her voice, once a constant in Tioni's life, was gone. The woman who raised her could no longer speak or hold her the same. Her aunt later told a reporter, "That moment broke something in her. It was too much for a 13-year-old. And it was, because in an instant, Tioni lost more than just her mother's presence. She lost her anchor. Her routines vanished, her safe space dissolved. Tioni went to live with her grandparents after the accident, but life didn't get easier. Within a year, both of them were diagnosed with cancer. And before long, both of them were gone. Teresa was gone in one way, her grandparents in another. Tioni was just 14. 1 year. That's all it took to turn everything upside down. After her mother's accident, Tioni tried to adjust. Her grandparents did what they could. They were older, slower, but they gave her stability. She stayed with them, went to school, tried to keep a routine, but it wasn't long before their health began to decline. Within months, both were diagnosed with cancer. And just like that, her foundation crumbled again. They passed within the same year. That loss, on top of everything else, pushed her into a space no teenager should ever have to navigate alone. With no other immediate options, she moved in with her father, Darian Sr., in South Los Angeles. It was unfamiliar, different from the rhythm she knew with her mother and grandparents. Darian worked long hours, day shifts at a retail store, night shifts as a security guard. He was doing the best he could, but time wasn't on his side. While he worked, Tioni was alone, and she started drifting. She stopped showing up for class. Some days she'd go only to leave after the first period. Other days she wouldn't show up at all. Teachers marked her absent. Her grades dropped. She had once been at the top of her class. Now she barely submitted assignments. Her behavior changed. So did the way she carried herself. On social media, the posts were different. Less about hobbies, more about heartache. Pictures of her out late, bottles in the background. Videos of her laughing, then crying. Captions that said too much without saying everything. One post read, "I don't think anybody cares." Another, "I just want to leave." In the photos, she looked older than 16. Her eyes had lost that ease she once carried on the golf course. Behind the screen, older men were watching, messaging her, complimenting her appearance, offering to pick her up, offering money. Some said they wanted to help. Some said they wanted to spoil her. But what they really wanted was access. And she gave it. Not because she didn't know better, but because she was looking for something. Connection. Validation. Escape. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1 in 6 endangered runaways in America are likely sex trafficking victims. Many are targeted online. Most are girls. Many are under 18. And often, they're not kidnapped. They're lured. One message at a time. Tioni's father, Darian, saw her slipping away. He tried to talk to her. He told her no boys, no leaving the house without permission. But she was already moving beyond his reach. He said she would sneak out after he left for work. Sometimes she would call him crying, asking to be picked up. He didn't always know where she was or how she got there. On January 7, 2022, she showed up at his job in Inglewood. She told him someone from Instagram had invited her to a party. She was going with a friend. She wouldn't be gone long. He didn't feel right about it. Something felt off. He asked her to stay. She smiled, gave him a hug, said she'd be back soon. He told her he loved her. That was the last thing he said to her. That was the last time he saw her. January 8, 2022. Tioni's body was discovered just after sunrise. 2 gunshot wounds to the neck. No purse, no phone, no evidence of a struggle. She was fully clothed, left on the shoulder of the 110 freeway like she didn't matter. Investigators couldn't say where she was killed. They didn't know how long she had been there. They couldn't trace the car that left her. There was no camera footage, No known witnesses. A child was found dead in a public space, and no one saw a thing. In the hours that followed, there were no urgent alerts, no breaking coverage, no calls for help across TV screens or social media. The news didn't flood in with headlines or timelines. For several days, Tioni's murder was barely mentioned. It was as if her death wasn't worth the rush. Her family waited. Her father, still reeling from losing his only son to gun violence 4 years earlier, had now lost his daughter too. He asked for answers, none came. So the family did what they had to do. They organized a vigil, held signs, lit candles. They spoke to whoever would listen. Activists joined them, some from local groups, others from statewide organizations. They stood outside government buildings and made noise. They demanded press attention. They asked why Tioni wasn't treated the way others were. They asked what makes one life headline-worthy and another one an afterthought. Because that same week, another young woman was killed. Brianna Kupfer, a UCLA grad, white, stabbed to death while working inside a furniture store. Within days, her story was everywhere. The city council responded immediately. Donations poured in. Celebrities shared her photo. A $250,000 reward was assembled with shocking speed. And yet Tioni's case, just as brutal, just as senseless, barely made a ripple. Her family noticed, so did the community. One activist said it plainly. Brianna was mourned by the city. Tioni was nearly forgotten by it. That wasn't anger. That was exhaustion, the kind that builds over years of watching black girls vanish and watching silence grow in their place. But eventually, the pressure worked. On January 26th, Los Angeles city officials announced a reward for information leading to Tioni's killer. $50,000 from the city, $50,000 from the state, another $10,000 from the county, and $5,000 from a local advocacy group called Project Hope. Days later, California Governor Gavin Newsom added $5,000 more. The total stood at $120,000. It was something, but it didn't bring her back. And it didn't explain why it took this long. During that same press conference, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon revealed something few expected. He said that court records showed Tioni had been identified as a victim of commercial sexual exploitation of children. Those words, clinical, cold, carry weight. It means she may have been trafficked. It means someone saw her not as a child, but as a target. Someone profited off her pain. It means she was lured, manipulated, and used. She wasn't a sex worker. She was 16. She was a minor. And in the eyes of the law, she was a victim. Someone took advantage of the grief, the instability, and the loneliness that had followed her for years. And still, no one has been arrested. No one has come forward. No one has answered for what happened. On January 27, 2022, just 19 days after her body was found along the 110 freeway, Tioni Theus was laid to rest. Her family gathered in a South Los Angeles chapel, small, quiet, filled with faces that couldn't hide their grief. Her father, Darian, sat in the front row, holding back everything that words couldn't express. He'd already buried one child, and now, his only daughter. "I feel like I lost my soul," he said after the service. His voice didn't shake. It broke. He had watched his child struggle. He had tried to protect her. And now he had to say goodbye without ever learning what really happened that night. Outside, community activists held signs. They weren't just there to grieve. They were there to make sure Tioni wouldn't be erased. Her face was printed on banners, her name spoken through megaphones, her story shared online. Artists began painting murals, bright, colorful portraits of a smiling girl with big dreams and a heart full of life. Hashtags carrying her name appeared on social media, beside posts demanding justice and change. But despite all that visibility, there were still no answers. No one named. No one arrested. The case that should have brought urgency had gone quiet again. Her family refused to let her memory disappear. They told reporters that Tioni wasn't a cautionary tale or a tragic headline. She was a daughter, a student, a child who had endured more than most adults ever will. One family member said it plainly: Tioni was a victim, not a statistic, not a headline, a child. They meant every word, because when stories like hers fade, people start asking the wrong questions. They ask why she was out, why she posted what she did, why she trusted people online. But no one asks why no one helped her sooner, why the system didn't intervene, why the signs were ignored. 1 year after her death, in January 2023, her family and community gathered again. They stood in the same neighborhood where she grew up, holding candles, reading poems, wearing t-shirts with her face. They called her name out loud, again and again. They wanted people to remember. They needed people to understand that justice still hadn't come, that the case was still open, that the person who killed her still hadn't been held accountable. But outside of those vigils, her name didn't show up in headlines anymore. It didn't lead the news. It didn't trend. Slowly, the urgency began to fade from public memory. And that's not new. That's a pattern. It's happened before, with Relisha Rudd in D.C., Cupcake McKinney in Alabama, Kanika Jenkins in Chicago. Black girls who were failed in life and forgotten too soon after death. Their stories aren't the exception. They're part of a larger truth that too many don't want to face. But Tioni wasn't just another name on a list. She mattered. She loved to dance. She played golf with confidence. She was smart, kind. She had goals. And she had survived more loss than most children should ever face. She wasn't lost. She was taken. And someone out there knows who did it. If you believe her life mattered, say her name. If you know something, anything, contact the California Highway Patrol. And if you refuse to let her be forgotten, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because this story isn't over. And until there's justice, we'll keep telling it.